The MPC Studio Mk2 is the next best controller for Ableton Live than the Push 2. I'll prove it. Okay guys, it's B Crow from X Producer B. This is my first video on this channel, and on this channel we'll talk about different tips and tricks and some tutorials as far as making music is concerned to help you to level up on your production. X Producer because I used to be a producer, got some credited stuff to my name, but I'm not in the game anymore. I just want to share whatever knowledge and experience I have, and hopefully you can benefit. But today we're going to talk about the MPC Studio Mk2. It's got a lot of hate, a little bit of love on the internet, and for a myriad of reasons. Essentially, this device is the next version of the MPC Studio Black, which came out a few years ago. They updated this version, and it works pretty well. I will agree with some of the people who disapprove of this device, that it is not a traditional MPC. The LCD screen is there. It's almost like they took the control surface of an MPC, lifted it off of the MPC, and put it in its own MIDI device. And so I got it because of the bargain. $250. I get a control surface. I get full access to the MPC 2 software with a whole bunch of expansion packs, which in my world, I come from a DAW world. You know, I never really got into the MPC, so I got it as an entry to get me into the workflow. And the software it's okay. The workflow is pretty much synonymous with what you would get on a regular MPC. And so I was able to get in there, make some music. This device has tactile control of that software. But there was a frustration that came to mind when I tried to close that software and opened up, for example, Ableton Live. When I did that, the machine is blank. By default, it's just blank. None of the buttons light up. None of the pad LEDs respond. The jog wheel doesn't do anything. It's pretty much a brick. And if you press the notes, it'll send random MIDI notes into your track when you're trying to play it. So by default, it's unusable. But that sent me down a path, and my path was to see if I could reverse engineer this device here, to see if I could reverse engineer it to sort of make it work with Ableton Live and give it the same functionality or better functionality with Ableton Live that it has with the MPC software. And my results are pretty amazing. Okay, and so that's what I did. That's what's birthed this video. I wanted to show you guys and let you know that you can use this device with other software if you're willing to put in a little bit of work. And in this case, I've done a lot of the work for you. So I'm going to share the work that I've done with you so you can use this device with other software out there. It's really simple now that the work is done. Okay. And by the way, I don't know what's wrong with Akai. The work that I did to reverse engineer this, they wouldn't have had to do that. And they could have programmed a MIDI remote script for this device. And I know that's the case because they have other remote scripts for Ableton Live that allows you to operate. For example, the Akai Force can work with Ableton Live. I think the MPC Live 2 can work with Ableton Live. They have a lot of different controllers, the APC, the various MPDs and MPKs. All of those devices have scripts that allow you to use them with Ableton Live. But they just went cheap and dropped the ball and decided we're not even going to attempt to support this device with other vendor software, which is, to me, it's a huge missed opportunity, because you could have put out a remote script and put programming into all other DAWs to make this device one of the best all-around controllers for any software, for any DAW out there. You missed an opportunity, Akai. This is why, you people love you. It's like a love and hate relationship. Some of your products are very good, but you just missed that one little detail, that one little thing that could have made this device so much better. And in my mind, if I have limited studio desk, I don't have a lot of space on my desk here. I've got other keyboard controllers, I got microphone stands, I got audio interfaces, like preamps and all kinds. I don't have a lot of space on my desk. So if this device is going to sit on my desk It needs to be able to work with more than just MPC2. That's my gripe. And it's a huge gripe because very few people that I know are only using MPC2 to make their beats or make their music. They might start it in MPC2, but after that, they take it to Studio One. They take it to Logic. They take it to, I don't know, Pro Tools. They take it to Ableton Live. They might take it into Fruity Loops. And this device, if it's going to sit on my desk, it can't be a brick, complete brick when I go to those other software. I want it to be able to at least have transport control and basic pad control over those other DAWs. And that would not have been terribly hard to implement it, and I'm going to prove it to you today. All right, so let's jump into it. Let me scoot this thing down. Let's open up and show you what you get when you go open up MPC Beat Software. So this is what you get when you open up the MPC Beat Software. You'll see that the controller will come alive. Okay, the LED lights up, all the buttons light up, all the everything lights up on the pad because it's now time to be ready to use. Okay, and so here we are. We're in the MPC software. We can browse through some kits if we want. All right, load up the kit. All right, now you can play it. Now you see that the LEDs change colors. The buttons are here. You can navigate through the various banks over here. All right, so you get pretty good tactile control. I can play everything. I'm not going to make a tutorial on this today. I'll make some beats in this a little in another video. But this is what the device looks like. Now watch what happens when I close this software. When I close the software, here's what happens. Let me close it. It goes blank. All right, now I'm going to open up Ableton Live. All right. I got Ableton Live open. As you can see, there is nothing on the pads. There's no buttons that light up. There's nothing over here. When I press it, you look at the Midi monitor, it sends random notes in all over the place. Even the button presses, they send notes. That's unusable. It's completely unusable. At least you would think, okay, I can map out the record stuff. And don't get me wrong, I know Ableton has some user scripts, and that you can go and do some basic editing of a file to give you some sort of control factor with this device. But it's not native to the device, and you don't get any feedback from the LEDs. Okay, and that's what we're looking for. We want that feedback from the LEDs. We want to be able to use this device in the way that it would be used in the MPC software, which is not hard to do. So this sent me on a journey to now reverse engineer, because I found out that Ableton Live does have a Python API or an interface to allow you to program your controllers to work. And it's actually the same API that they use for the Push 2. So a lot of the functionality that the Push 2 has, it can be implemented in other controllers. It's just dependent upon the vendor to go in there and code it out to make sure that all the proper functions and buttons and CC controllers and messages all correspond to the right stuff on the controller. It takes a little bit of programming knowledge, but it is possible. And so all of the devices that work natively with Live have some sort of this Python script that's loaded. Okay, so when you go, let's go to the Live here. When you go to Ableton, you go to Preferences, you'll see here in the control surface, all these control surface are various scripts that come loaded with Live, depending on what version you have. Okay, and you can create your own. You can create your own. And you can load up, which sent me down the journey to reverse engineer this device to make it work with Live, using some of the examples that's already out there for Ableton, for the other Ableton controllers. And so that's what I'm going to show you now. So let's hop over to, here's what I found. Here's my finding. This is publicly available. I'll put this in the link description below, but here's what I found. Okay, this is a chart and a diagram pretty much of all of the mappings for the MPC Studio Mk2 controller. Okay, I figured out how to manually assign and light up all the LEDs on this device. It's pretty cool. All the buttons, when you press them, they send MIDI on and off data. Okay, I'm gonna go through it quickly. The buttons they press, they send MIDI on and off data. The LEDs values, they correspond to the note that is pressed on the button. So if it sends note 24, you can send a value on CC24 and control the LEDs. The LEDs are either one of two, one color or two color. If it's a two color like white and red, you can control those various states by sending a 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4 by CC. And these correspond, the table corresponds here. If you send 1, it'll give you white dim. If you send 3, it'll give you white full. Okay, so I can control the level of the LED buttons by sending CC notes to this device. It's beautiful. Okay, and so now I have a table breaking all that down. So if you want to program this to your own DAWs or to your own software or to your own workflow, you can do it. Just go to this link here, and all the information is there. Every button. Okay, including the touch strip. When you press the touch strip, it sends a note value. When you slide the touch strip, it sends a CC value, and the CC values are in this diagram here. Okay, the touch strip also has LEDs. You can't really see it on here, but there's a LED, sort of like a strip right next to this touch strip. It's a vertical bar, and it has red dots that light up, and it also has white quantization of values that light up here as well. And you can control those on different CC controllers with brightness from 0 through 127, which is going to lead to some pretty cool stuff here in just a second. All right, let's keep going. The jog wheel, same thing. When you press it, it sends note 111, and when you turn it, it sends CC value on channel 111, but forward gets 1, reverse sends 127. All right, the pads was the most difficult part, because the pads, they don't respond to velocity value. So when I tap a pad, it doesn't respond by how hard that I tap it. Okay, and also the color is different, and there's no way to send RGB color values over a standard MIDI message. So I had to reverse engineer this and find the Sysex messages. If you don't know anything about Sysex, it's basically a vendor exclusive way of sending commands to a MIDI device. There's really no standard around it. There are a few commands that are standard, but there really is no standard around it. So a vendor is free to implement this however they want. All right. And so what I had to do is I had to load up the MPC software, do a USB capture on the packets coming back and forth between the controller and the software. And then I found a pattern. Okay. And the pattern was this. These are MIDI Sysex. These are the commands it sends. If you're not interested, it is what it is. I'll go fast. Basically, there's a start message. These are standard manufacturer ID. This is a Kai. This device ID means it's an MPC Studio 2. This is the model of it. This is the message type, which is a command type for them. This means you're going to set a color on a pad. All right. These two are values, are how many bytes are going to follow, how many bytes are included in the command you're about to send. And so this is the actual data. Here's the pad number, the red value, the green value, and the blue value. And this means that the message is done. And so using this, you can send whatever color you want to whatever pad you want, and you can light the pads up. And which leads me to this discovery. This device here, it's a dumb device. It has no logic on it like a standard MIDI controller would. All of its feedback is controlled by the software, okay? Which means that pretty much you can implement this however you want to in the software. It makes it a little bit more difficult, so it's not just a MIDI controller. It's dumber than a MIDI controller, which is really Akai's way of really going cheap on this thing. They scrapped as much of the logic inside of it as they could to bring that price down as low as they could to compete with what I believe is the Machine Micro Mk2. I think that's what they're trying to compete with, because they're the same price and offer similar functionality. And so suffice it to say, all that is reprogrammed. So I can control all of these pads. And also I have in this document, I've documented what note values each pad sends. And with that information, I'm free to make this work with Ableton Live. So let's go. Here we are in Ableton Live. By default, it's blank. Notice what happens when I created a MIDI remote script, and I'll share this script eventually. Once I get it done, I'll put it out there on the repository. You can be able to download it. Start with version 1. But if we go to Preferences, and I go to scroll down, and I'm going to choose MPC Studio Mk2. Watch what happens. Uh-oh. Everything's lit up now. I got it all in there. All right. Okay, so what's going on? This is the way I have it. I have it defined. The pad mode, the pad bank buttons over here are pad modes now. Okay, so let me go full. These pad bank buttons are pad modes. Okay, and the reason why I did it that way is because these buttons down here don't have any use really much. So I implemented different functionality, but I have four basic pad modes. Okay, the first pad mode is session controller. So this is where you would launch clips, just like if you were on Ableton Push or you had a launch pad. Okay, the second pad mode is notes. Okay, and it is able to differentiate between a drum track and a regular MIDI track. So if there's a drum rack, this will change, and I'll show you that. The third pad mode is the channel mixer. Okay, this allows you to control basic attributes of a channel, and you can select it using this fourth row here. So I can select different channels. Let me go to the software. You can see it changing on the software, and these are arranged in the same way that the software is: mute, solo, record arm, all those functions there. The third one is a pad mute, a channel clip mute. So this one, if you press this bottom row, will stop all the clips for that channel. And it's a moment. I mean, it's a momentary, meaning that it only will be active when you hold it. And that's the beauty of this device. This is why I say it's so powerful, because this device has so many other modifier buttons on it that allows you to really get a lot of control out of it. And I'm going to show you that. So, okay, those are the pad modes. Of course, going to the transport side, things work like you would expect. Play start, except it doesn't do a play start. It does turn the loop on and off because there is no concept of play start in Ableton Live. If you've ever worked with it, it's just play and stop, and all the functionalities in those two buttons. Okay. And if you want to go back to the beginning, you just double tap stop and it goes back to the beginning. That's how that works. So instead I made this loop. Now you notice when I press it, it lights up. And if I control it in the software, it will mirror what's happening. If I press the loop, it comes on. Okay. And so none of this is, all this is responding to what's happening in the software, which is cool. Play does what you think it does. It plays. Okay. Stop does what you think it does. It stops. Overdub, it controls the session overdub. So you can turn that on, turn that off. And then record, of course, is record. Let me see. Let's take this out to 3 and 4. All right. So now we have, you can hear that sound. It is playing. Now it's recording. Okay. All right. So let's stop it. That's the transport. These two nudge buttons over here, they control the playhead position, so you can scroll around in the project using those. These two over here are your punch in and your punch out. Okay, so you can do punch in and punch out, and these work all the way in arrangement mode, and they work in session mode. So, and that's something that the push doesn't have. The push doesn't function very well in arrangement mode. So here we go. So we already got one up on the push. The main button here toggles between the arrange mode and the session mode. Time control on and off toggles the input recording control, same functionality as MPC2. Automation read write, same thing, controls that. Tap tempo does what you think, it does the tap tempo. All right, so I tap it, and when I tap it, it lights up, so it gives you tactical feedback there. Undo does what you think, it's undo. The zoom allows you to switch around. Now you can see that lighting up. It allows you to get like an overview of your session, so you can go around in different sections of it just using the pads. You can see the thing hopping around. Quantize does what it says. It quantizes your selected clip. The mode, I'll get to that in a second, but it's what I programmed to be function keys. Okay, so I can do various things with the mode button. I guess I'll do it now. I programmed quick functions that I use in Ableton Live a lot to keep me from having to point and click around with a mouse. And so this bottom row is track functions. The top row is effect functions. And I'm going to fill out these other 2 rows. I just haven't decided what I want to put there yet. Any advice or recommendation, let me know and I'll try to make it happen. All right, but the first button will add a track, audio track. Second button will add a MIDI track. Third button will add a drum rack. There we go. Fourth button will add a sampler. There we go. Now the second one will add effects. And so if I click this, it'll add a compressor to the selected track. Next one will add I think it's an EQ. The next one will add auto filter, and the next one will add I think it's a gate. Yep, you can't see it, but there you go. So all that has been added in just by these buttons, and I can undo that all just by pressing my undo here. So I'll do it quickly. This is how quickly I can add all those tracks, all those devices that quickly, and then undo them all without ever having to touch a keyboard or a mouse. Pretty banging. All right, so here we go. The shift, every mode has a shift in it. So if I'm in session mode here, if I hold down shift, I can launch the scenes. Okay. If I'm in drum mode, if I hold down shift, I get an overview of session. Same thing with track mixer. Hold down shift, I get an overview of my session. Pad mute doesn't have a shift because it's momentary. All right. And these buttons over here allow you to navigate your session. So sample start and end go up and down. Sample plus and minus go left and minus, just like that. And so you get some feedback or some control there. All right, so let's go over to the pad modes. The pad modes allow you to control everything about your session. If you notice, this is red. That means it's an implicit record. So if I tap this, it'll start to record. And I can tap it to stop. All right. Now the green means it's playing. If I tap another one, that one record. All right. Let's stop it. All right. Let's say I want to go to another track. Let's go over here. Now this one is recording. All right. Let's stop it. All right. Let's go to the next one down. Next clip down. Let's record. All right. Now let's stop it. Now both of them are playing. If I hold down pad mute mode, I can stop them both. All right. So there you go. I've recorded some clips in here. Notice that the color matches the color in Ableton Live. That's the power or the beauty of these LEDs that are here, is that you can kind of see where you are in your session based off of the color of the pads. You can see what's playing. It has a blink function in there for clips that are starting or clips that are recording. So I think that is really good, really powerful. But it doesn't stop there. These buttons over here, since they don't have any function, or the names of the buttons don't have a function in Ableton Live, I kind of gave them their own functions for each pad mode. Okay, and so full level allows you to create a clip in whatever pad you press. So if I hold down full level, you notice it lights up. Okay, and I tap one, it'll create a clip there. By default, it creates it as 2 bars. Okay, so what if I don't want it 2 bars? Well, if I hold down pad mute, I can double the length of this clip. So now it's 4, now it's 8, now it's 16. All right, undo that, bring it back down to 2. All right, copy duplicates the clip to the one down. So if I hold down copy, you'll see the button lights up. Hold down copy, and it duplicates that clip. Okay, 16 level allows you to select a clip without playing it. So if I go here, you can see them kind of hopping around and selecting various clips. This is useful if you want to go to edit something. You don't have to mouse around. You can select a clip that you want to edit. Erase does what you think it would. It erases a clip. So if I hold it down and tap the clips, I can erase them and remove those from my session. Now I'm back to a blank session. It's pretty cool. The next one is drum or the note mode. It puts the pads in a note mode. All right. And if I grab, I'll grab a drum kit here just to kind of show you what's going on. This is one that my go-to kits. You'll notice that when it recognizes a track with a drum rack on it, the pad modes change. If I go to a regular track, this is what it looks like. The yellow are the white keys, the blue are the black keys. All right, but now it goes to a drum rack, okay? And I can play it. All right, so we can play it. We get feedback and all of that. Now we can bank up and down using these two buttons here. That's why they're red. If you do that, you see the Ableton Live bank going. Let me load up another one so you can see what the colors change. Because if you go to a different bank, the colors, they do change. So here I'm on this track, and notice that my colors, every time I go to a different bank, they change. This is the first one, second bank, third bank, fourth bank, and then the fifth bank. So all the different banks have different colors, so you can see where you are. And when you tap on it, it selects blue, all right, meaning that the pad is selected. When you tap it, you get feedback on the color red. All right, and so that's good. All right, so that is the notes mode. Okay, if you load up a synth, you can play the synth just like you would on any set of pads. All right, the next one is channel mode. Well, excuse me, these buttons down here have function too. If I hold down pad mute, of course, it'll mute a pad. You can see it. All right, if I hold it down again, it will unmute it. Should be feedback for that. I'll work on that. 16 level, solo's a pad. Okay, so you can see it turn blue because it's solo. All right, if I go to erase, it'll erase a pad. And notice when that pad is erased, it's not lit up at all. It's got a faint light in it, but it's not lit up at all. I can undo that action, bring the pad back. So here I mute it. The pad is muted. I'll unmute it again. All right, here's a solo. You see the pad is solo. I'll unsolo. So all these buttons have functions here. Okay, for the track mixer, it pretty much works like you would think it, but this is a good time for me to talk about this over here. All right. You can select different tracks in here and you can mute them out as you will. So let me just go ahead and lay down something. That's not where I want to be. All right, that sounds good. Let's go ahead. It. All right. So now I have a beat. Okay. And if I did that so we can demonstrate what's going on in the third mode, which is a channel strip mode. Okay. So this allows me to select track, and I can mute it. Of course, I can solo it. All right, and I can record. I have my mic on another channel, but I'll demonstrate that here in a second. If I wanted to record something on that channel, I can I can record enable. And remember I said that each mode had a shift mode. So if I hold down shift, I get a snapshot of the session view. And see, it shows me that I have something playing on this channel. Also, so I can record on this, which is cool. Also, you'll notice now, as I'm talking, I get feedback in the LED on these red dots. And what I've done is that I made these red dots give you feedback of the parameters that you're controlling. Okay. And so by default, it will show you your level meters, what's happening in live here. It will show you on here. And since I have this track record armed, it's showing you that feedback. If I disable it, it will show you the volume. Pretty cool. So now I can see right here on the device, I can see the channel strip going up and down, and I can record. If I just want to hold down shift, and I can record something there. Now I'm recording. I'm going to stop the recording at 2-bar loop. Now I'm recording. I'm going to stop the recording at 2-bar loop. It's playing over again. Now I'm recording. I'm going to stop the recording at 2-bar loop. All right. Pretty cool. Now I'm recording. I can delete it. Stop the recording at 2-bar. Down erase. Delete. All right. And so now we have, pretty much the ability to record and control anything. There's one other thing I need to talk about. Let's go over this. The jog wheel, first of all, it scrolls back and forth between channels by default. I want to program when you hit, right now it's on track select. So this is a mode. When you hit program select, I want it to be able to navigate through devices. I think that'll be cool. I haven't gotten that feature tacked down just yet. But track select, you can go through your tracks. And you tap it, it will record on the track. And so that means if I'm tracking out some stuff in Ableton Live, I don't have to go. If I'm in session mode, I don't have to go to the channel mixer mode to arm the track. I can just go to the next track, tap it, record, arm, and that way my hands is on the device and not necessarily back and forth between the mouse and the keyboard and the computer interface. I wanted to put as much control on this thing as possible. Okay. Next part that's really cool is a touch strip. Okay, the touch strip, it's a slider CC, which means we can control anything that we would be able to control with an encoder. We can control with this touch strip. Okay, and the way you adjust those modes is by holding down the touch strip button right here. See, when I hold it down, those pads they light up. Okay, and that means by default it's on volume. You can control pan. You can control the send A. You can control send B. All right. So let's go to volume. You'll notice once I slide it, the volume is changing. And not only does it change on the software, but it also shows you where you are with these LEDs. Okay. So if I play the track, that's the wrong track. Let's go to over here. It's drums. Turn it down. Turn it up. All right. I can also do pans. Pans. Pan it to the left. Pan it to the right. Back to center. All right. I can also do sends. Send A is reverb. All right. I can also do send B, delay. All right. So the touch strip really gives me some control, more control over this channel strip. And I don't have to be in channel strip mode to do that. I can do that from anywhere. So on any track that I am, I can control the volume, the sends, and the pans, and all of that right from where I am, which is huge. Okay, that puts complete control really at my fingertips. So with all of that, I can control every feature of Ableton that I want to. I can make a track. So let's make a track. Really simple. Let me delete this. I'll make something simpler in track 1, 2, 3. Alright. Only thing I can't do, I want to browse, by the way. You can control the browse state. If you do that right there, you can control it. I wanted browse to be able to browse the samples on the software, but it's Ableton's fault, y'all. They don't have a MIDI mapping to the up and down keys. Like if I go to my browser and I'm typing on my keyboard right now, this is not on the controller. If I go to my browser and I just type on my keyboard, I can go up, down, and I can go left, I can go right. And that's what I wanted to be able to control with this controller, but they don't have a mapping for that. And so if anybody knows a way that I can do that, let me know, and I'll put that functionality into the jog wheel. That way when you hit browse, you can go up and down, left and right, and then load whatever you want, meaning I don't have to touch. I can browse like I would in MPC 2. So Ableton, if you're listening, I know that's an easy one to do. Come on, man. But you want us to You want us to be able to send all the contents of the browser to the push. That's what you want. That's why you didn't do it, because your push, you have an API where I can get all of the browser data and send it to the push and implement your own navigation feature on the device. I know why you did it. You only really made those remote scripts to work with your stuff and just allowed everybody else to use them. Not slick. Okay, so here we go. I gotta load up something else. Let's see. Here we go. Doo-doo, doo-doo. By the way, if you're not using Vital, you're missing out. You're tripping. All right. Now I'm in notes mode. I got something. Let's hit it. Nope. Erase that. Let's do another one. Probably do undo. All right, let's try it. 1, 2, ready. Quantize that. Turn time correct on. In there. There we go. Now we got something going. Now just to show the voice capability. Let's go to audio track right here. Throw something down. 1, 2, 3. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Alright, let's go to mode. And then put an EQ on it. Drop the lows out. Volume down. All right, let's give me an 808. There we go. All right, I'm on my 808. Let's go down. All right, let's put it down. Let's see what we can do. 1, 2, 3. There it is. All right, now let's some of the drum pattern. New drum pattern. Let's double it. Duplicate it. What do I do? So I need that. Let's see what we get. Alright, cool. Step back here. Put those toms in. The 4 bar. 1, 2. There we go. Alright. There we go. That's it. Okay. There you have it. The MPC Studio Mk2 is the next best controller for Ableton Live than the Push 2. You've seen it here. I'm B Crow for X Producer B. Deuces.